Hello everybody, it is Nicole from iiKiui and welcome to another Fairy Friday. So for today's Fairy Friday, I decided to do a close-up fairy instead of another full body one. The reason I did this was just because I could get more detail into the character if I did a more close-up picture. So I'm probably going to keep the audio pretty short just because it is a pretty long video and I know you guys want to see the whole process, so I did film the entire thing. So I'll probably just insert the commentary whenever I start talking about a certain part of the image and then just leave the rest to background music. Hopefully you guys are okay with that and don't mind the little spurts of commentary. I think if I run out of things to say for both Fairy Fridays and Merry Mondays, I might just start doing that. That way you can still get some background music and some of my commentary about the image itself. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So today's Fairy Friday was inspired by a dress I saw on Fancy Fairy Angela's site. Well, when I say site, I mean Instagram, because she posts a lot of beautiful dresses on her Instagram, and I took some inspiration from some of her dresses, such as the bodice piece. I took some inspiration from that, and then I saw that she did some capes, so I kind of designed my own cape. And when I say inspiration, I don't mean that I copied it exactly. I just took bits and pieces that I liked. For example, maybe I like the neckline on the bodice, or maybe I like this one flower that was on the pattern. Small things like that I incorporated into it. That way I can say that it was inspired by something instead of being copied exactly, without worrying about plagiarism and stuff like that. The main goal of this piece was just to add detail because I wanted to push myself to add a little bit more detail in my pieces. Although I've stated before that my style is definitely more simplistic, I did want to add a little bit more detail just so I could experiment and push myself and challenge myself to come up with little things that maybe I didn't think about before. So here you're seeing the sketch, and this is basically where I try to flesh out all the details that I wanted to put into the piece in the first place. Originally I thought the pose was more contrapposto, but it seems like it wasn't in the end result. However, I still do like it, even though it's not as dynamic as it could be. And I will be doing a tips and tricks on dynamic poses very soon, so if you guys are interested, keep on lookout for that. Like I said, the sketch is where I flesh out all the details and I get the proportions down. Anything that I want to make sure is not miscommunicated in the line art. I try to get everything in the sketch so I don't leave anything up to, I guess, my imagination when I get to the line art stage. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky figuring out what I'm trying to do because for some reason things look better in sketch form than in line art form. Specifically for my pieces, sometimes I feel like the sketch just looks better, and the reason for this is because when you have a sketch and you have multiple lines, your eye actually makes it seem like you see the best line, so that's why sometimes sketches look better than the line art, because perhaps your line art is not the best line that your eye thought it saw. But again, the key is just to get every detail that you want to include inside the sketch so that you know that you're not missing anything in the line art stage. So when it comes to the line art, there's not much for me to do because I do a lot of the planning, I guess you could say, ahead of time in the sketching stage. So line art is basically tracing for me. There are some details that I add in the line art stage, such as like fingernails or more eyelashes, and then for the most part I just clean up whatever I sketched out. So for this part I'll let you guys enjoy it and you can listen to some music. Now the coloring is definitely one of the most challenging parts for me. The reason why is because I don't do color concepts ahead of time, which I probably should. So you see me trying out a bunch of different color schemes and seeing what color hair do I want, what color do you want the dress, the skin, the eyes, etc. And these are all just experimentations from me grabbing a color in the color wheel and just applying it. For colored line art, I just clip another layer on top of the line art layer, and then I just add colors on top of that. And if I want to separate them out, for example the hair compared to the skin, then I just add another layer on top of that and clip it, so that all those layers are clipped onto the line art layer, and then they're all individualized so that I wouldn't have to recolor in the parts that I want to be a certain color. This is also the stage where I clean up any line art that overlaps, because sometimes my line art is a little bit messy, especially because I have several line art pieces. So sometimes I have a hair layer and a skin layer, and the reason why I do this is so that I don't have any overlapping lines in case I mess up. So you'll see me cleaning up some of the lines that overlap, such as any wisps from the hair that got its way onto the skin, and the reason why I don't see this before is because everything is in black when I line. If you guys want, I can do a tutorial on colored line art. It's really simple, but if it helps any of you guys, I can definitely do that for you. So throughout the piece, I try to balance out the color distribution, which means that I try to have a little bit of color in each place, or at least make it balanced. So what I mean by this is I don't want it to be heavily purple, for example, and I don't want it to be like purple on one side, pink on one side. I don't want it to be segregated. So I try to apply different colors to different parts of it. So for example, her little leaf circlet thing on her forehead, I incorporate all the colors, and then for the accents on her dress, I made it yellow. Her belt also has accent colors of all of them, just to bring it all together. And then just to make sure that I stayed in a similar color family, I just use shades of the colors that I already chose. So for example, the inside of her dress is a light pink instead of the normal pink. And this just helps add a little bit of color variation without changing the color entirely. So that about wraps up the audio for this Fairy Friday. I hope you guys enjoyed this speed paint, and I will be doing more in the future. Let me know if you guys want to see anything specific, then I'll see if I can do that. I think for Fairy Fridays and Merry Mondays, I might be taking requests or anything that you guys want to see, and then maybe you'll see your name inside the video. I thought it would be a fun way to interact with you guys, and you guys can see whatever you request in a video. So leave your comments down below and let me know if you enjoyed this video. So with that, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Keep drawing, keep painting, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!